Good morning. It's Friday, February 3rd. And this morning I want to talk about the politician who is interfering in our educational system. And that would be Ron DeSantis of Florida. He positions himself to run for president next year and has become the vocal culture warrior, vowing to take on liberal orthodoxy and its champions. You know he's had problems with Disney and Martha's Vineyard and the state's public libraries. And I believe that politicians have no business interfering in education, especially when they reject math textbooks based upon what they call indoctrination. There's nothing political about mathematics in my mind. You learn to add, subtract, multiply, divide. You learn algebra, calculus, and all of the great things that math can do for you. Can you imagine limiting the amount of mathematics that is taught in the technology world today? That's crazy. That's crazy. Why and how could anybody link mathematics with an indoctrination theory? Now, if you want to talk about history, or you want to talk about sociology, or you want to talk about any of those things, yes, history could have an effect on a person's thinking. But not mathematics. Mathematics is plain, simple geometry, shapes, multiplying things, divide. You must have that skill to the utmost degree, to the degree that you can handle. Not everybody can be a mathematician. Not everybody understands calculus or different levels of algebra. But that's all right. You have to have the mathematical basics to continue in this society. So are we attacking the educational system and you ban instructions on gender identity and sexual orientation in kindergarten through the third grade? Why? Maybe those children don't understand, and maybe some of them do. And what's wrong with it? You don't have to give an in-depth explanation in those early years, but nothing should be banned. And we shouldn't be taking books off the shelves in the libraries, right? And how in the world are the students in Florida going to compete for the nation's best colleges if they don't take advanced placement courses in many different areas? So they are banning also advanced placement courses in African American studies for students, for high school students. Why? Is he so conservative that he sees nothing? He doesn't understand the value of education. And yet he was educated in some good schools. I believe he's a Harvard graduate. Maybe Yale, I'm not sure. But he went to one of those good Ivy League schools. So he's not a Penn State failure like President Trump was. And not only is he attacking various regions like mathematics and stuff, he's attacking history. He doesn't want world history taught. He wants the history of Western civilization taught. But I suspect that if he teaches the history of a Western civilization, he will omit everything about the Native American tribes. He's not looking to educate people. He's looking to morally denigrate them. He's looking to make idiots out of the general population. And he wants to eliminate the protection of tenure for teachers. Now, I'm not a great believer in tenure, and I taught for 26 years. I didn't have tenure. I was a part-time instructor, part-time faculty. But tenure is a wonderful thing. It allows teachers to be free and go and do what they want. I believe tenure should be reviewed periodically. Maybe you have tenure for 5 years or 10 years, and then you have to have the college look at you and make sure that you're working up to the standards that were set by the school. I know that when I taught, and I didn't have tenure, but they came into my classroom almost every semester to see what I was doing. And after a while, they stopped showing up. And when I questioned them, they said, we don't have to worry about you because your students, when they move on to the next classes, are well prepared. And I understood that. I managed to understand that when I got a classroom full of students that had been sent to me by an inferior teacher, and I had to teach them all the basic stuff that they should have known when they got to my class. So teaching is an art form in my mind. To be a good teacher, you have to work hard. This is not an easy job. This is not the job that many people think it is. preparation for each class is hard. And I say that somebody like DeSantis has no business interfering in the educational systems of his state. He should have good people working on it, and nothing should be banned. Now, nothing is a very large category because there is obviously some things that we don't want people to see early in their lives. So maybe you have certain classified sections in the library or courses that are only taught to a specific type of student. But to ban things because you don't like what they say is not right. Politicians have no business interfering in education. They have to listen to the educators. This is a state that's hostile to academic freedom. He's ruining the higher education system in Florida. And from what I know about the education system from Florida, it wasn't that great anyhow. So now we have a guy like DeSantis who is disapproving, destroying it. That's not what we believe is appropriate for the state of Florida, he says. But he decides what's appropriate for the state of Florida. Well, what would be appropriate for the state of Florida is for him to not be governor. That would be appropriate. But messing with the educational standards of a state is a shanda. I don't know if he would even allow such a word to be spoken in Florida. It's virtually destroyed the liberal arts school called the New College of Florida. It's struggling with its enrollment but calls itself a place of free thinkers. And it's regarded as the most progressive of Florida's 12 public universities. And DeSantis is after it because it's a liberal university. And he looked at low enrollment and test scores as his justification of getting after the new college. But I wouldn't be so sure that he himself has caused the low enrollment. Probably encouraged people not to send their children to that school. Or maybe it's too expensive. It's a private school. It's not a public school, it's a private school. So he's saying, I'm not giving them any tax dollars. So the bottom line here is that we have an idiot in the state of Florida. And unfortunately, what he's doing is setting an example for a whole bunch of other idiots around this country. And that's a shame, because politicians do not belong messing in our educational systems. There's enough problems in our educational systems without having those without any educational background messing around with the system. So I leave you with that this morning. Have a great day. Bye.